right, we're back. You are listening to the Xtology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show on the #1 global business talk and news network on the internet, IBGR International Business Growth Radio. I am Jason Wally Waldron, your host, here with Christine McKay of Venn Negotiation and the author of Why Not Ask? A Conversation About Getting More. Great book, highly recommended. Don't be afraid to go to your favorite online retailer and find that. We've been talking about a lot of different things, including increasing and protecting value in your business. We've been talking about the different negotiation strategies for life cycle phases of your business. And we've even talked a little bit about what does effective David versus Goliath negotiation look like in power imbalance situations. And it's really not what you would think. But in this section, I want to talk about something, especially to bring our listeners into this this season that we're in. We've been talking about creating lasting value even in a challenging economy, and every economy is challenging, but today's economy is very dynamic and interesting. And so I want us to talk a little bit about how do you negotiate your exit from your business. And there's a couple different reasons I want us to go here, Christine. And the first is because it's important that we recognize that you're going to exit your business one way or another. And it'll either be by conscious choice with preparation or not. But there's also the idea of, creating transferable value in a business. And there's the idea of what does winning look like for a person? And really, we already know one of the words we're going to talk about is clarity. So how do you clearly, consciously negotiate yourself towards an exit? So let's discuss that a little bit, maybe.
Well, I think that one of the clarity is like a huge thing, right? And I think that one of the things is understanding when we build businesses, it's like, what do we want that to look like even when we're not in it anymore? And obviously there will always come a time when we're not in it. If you have a trades business or you run a machine shop and you decide to sell the business 5 years down the road, when you drive past your old shop, what do you want it to, what memories, what do you want that to represent, right? What is that, right? And people don't think about that enough, and they don't think about what's really important to them. We had a client who was a land surveying company, and they'd been in business or have been in business for almost 45 years now. And they have, two very grown sons who are civil engineers, and the sons didn't want to take over the land surveying business. I mean, they went to college to get a civil engineering, degree. They don't want to do land surveying. And by the way, this is, in a place that is not very hospitable to land surveyors. And so, we spent a good chunk of time they essentially had a competitor call them out of nowhere and say, we want to buy you. And that happens a lot, right? Yeah. You get, and I mean, a growing number of clients get private equity. Yep. And I kind of put private equity in very loose quotes, because if they're cold calling you, trying to get you to sell your business to them, I'd have a lot of questions about that. Just to put people on notice, right? Be intentional. Don't just, wait for somebody, a prospective buyer to call you. But, the thing is with that land surveying client, we went through the work and said, okay, it's great. We know these guys, but what's important to us that's not money related? What do we care about that's not money related? And, that client cared very much about their people. They considered their employees to be family. Yeah. And as a result of how that prospective buyer behaved in the negotiation toward our team as a whole, the client walked out of that deal because they recognized that prospective buyer was never going to treat their employees like family.
So that's a really, really good example of everything that we've been talking about this whole hour, because, was it a win? Sure it was, because the highest and most valued value of that business, which was the people, right? The human capital, was preserved. And the only reason that you maintained walkaway power was because you did the work beforehand to understand clarity. And you threw an interesting thing into the mix there about if quote unquote if air quotes private equity is cold calling you, you should probably get out your laundry list of due diligence questions. And the answer, I agree, is all I'm going to say about that. And that may be its own episode in itself. But
Yeah.
I'd be very very curious, given the importance of clarity and the power that you just showed of clarity. In terms of maintaining the part that is true to your values, what do you see getting in the way of people achieving clarity?
Well, I think that there's kind of a number of different things. I think our egos get in the way really significantly. We think that we define what we think is clear based on other people. So it's not an internal metric. It becomes an external metric that has to do with, kind of keeping up with the Joneses. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Joe sold his company down the road for X, so I got to sell it for X. But Joe sold it for X because Joe was on the verge of bankruptcy and didn't have any options, right? And all of his employees got fired the next day, right? I mean, what does that deal look like, right?
Yep.
And so our egos get in the way. And they also get in the way in terms of how we think about our valuations, right? It's like, oh, well, most people will overvalue their business, but they're not prepared for the actual selling process, right? They haven't had taken a really hard look.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is we get into our own heads. So if we're somebody who actually isn't overvaluing and isn't so much stuck in ego about how great I am, we're actually stuck in ego about how much I suck, right? So we got ego on both sides there. And it's like, well, it's not, that was the case with the land surveying company. Was they are like the ultimate nurturing heart people, so deep, such a depth of caring and compassion in that family. And, they were like, they thought their business was worth X, and we did the valuation, and their business was worth 6 times what they thought it was.
Wow.
So they were gonna sell it to these people who weren't going to take care of the family, their family, their employees, and they were going to get scammed on how much they were going to pay for it, right? Get paid for it. And so that for us, right, we walked, when we made that recommendation to them and we said, we think you should walk away from this deal and find an alternative, either do one of two things, either find an alternative buyer who's more serious in the market, or two, hold on to the business and realize this value yourselves.
Sure.
Right? Those were the two things. And they opted to keep the business, and they've realized the value themselves, so much so that their actual number one way of exiting their business was for their sons to find an interest in the business.
Wow.
And now the sons have, and they have actually started integrating their civil engineering with their land surveying to create a new offer in the market. And it's like their dream come true.
Isn't that amazing? I mean,
yes,
that is so many different pieces of the puzzle coming together for such a great ending there, because what a close call you saved them from.
Exactly. Yes.
And I know that I see that in the marketplace all the time. It's not uncommon that we will see businesses who have overbuilt capacity, whether it's manufacturing or something along those lines, and they're really seeking to drive demand, and somebody else is able to come in and say, oh yeah, we know where that business is going to be a few years from now as they turn a few of those growth levers, and they look to pick them up, in my opinion, way too early. And they play that power imbalance negotiation game, and where, they say, hey, we're going to, they just put a bunch of numbers in front of them and say, that's going to be all yours, but you're going to have to jump through a few hoops. And, to a T, it always ends in tears in my experience, for one reason or another. And so that's really the importance, I think, of this discussion here today is, you know, we're not talking to machines. We're talking to business owners who have put their life's work into creating value. And I think that's really at the heart of why I wanted to have this discussion and share these concepts with people, Christine, is because I want those very real life business owners to realize the value of their life's work.
Well, I want to add something in here really quick that I think is hugely important. Is this couple that owned this business were fully aligned.
Yes.
So I see a lot of businesses where there's either partners or life partners who are in the business. They're completely misaligned. What one thinks they want is very different than what the other thinks that they want.
Yeah.
And in the preparation of getting ready to exit your business, if you have a partner, either like a business partner or a life partner who has different objectives, before you ever talk to anyone about selling your business, you guys need to be on the exact same page, because if you're not, a really savvy negotiator is going to come in and divide and conquer you. And that's just the way that's going to work.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you ended on that piece, because I've seen so many shades of that story happen. And that's exactly it. The divide and conquer, you know, unfortunately what'll happen is you'll do the business deal, but it might end up ruining your life partnership, and or, you know, and then I won't hit that any further. But Christina, I just really want to thank you for being here with us today. Are there any parting words or parting resources you'd like to share with us as we wrap up?
Just an honor to be here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. And I look forward to, follow us on our YouTube and TikTok channels at Venn Negotiation, and come check out our website. We've got some great information and stuff there for you. So
awesome. Well, thanks for being here, Christine. Folks, you have been listening to the Exitology Unlock Your Profits, Unlock Your Potential show. You can find out more at exitology.com.